Hello everyone, my name is Sam-the-tutor and welcome to yet another video on the ongoing series on how to develop applications on the ICP blockchain. So in this video we are going to look at how to use the ICP Ledger and ICP Index canisters in the backend Motoko project. So basically the ICP Ledger canister allows you to transfer funds from one account to another, do a bunch of other stuff, and the ICP index canister, its major role is to fetch transactions of specific principal IDs or addresses. And so without wasting time, let's begin. We are going to use a guide provided by the Definity Foundation on their website, and this guide or guides, one of them will help us to install the ICP Ledger. The other one will help us to install the ICP index canister. And so let's now go through the guide. As you can see, I already have my browser open. I will just type in internetcomputer.org and the website will load up. So it's on this website that we will find most of the information that we'll be using. And all you have to do is click on develop and select developer docs, click on guides and navigate to the section of ledger and tokens. Choose the ICP ledger and ICP ledger setup. And so this is the guide that we shall be following on how to set up the ledger canister on our local machine. And but before we do that, I want to first show you the different functions that the ICP Ledger provides, and we will use the ICP dashboard for that. And all you need is the canister ID, which is here. So I will just copy it, come open a new instance of the browser, type in the dashboard, and then .internetcomputer.org. And so this is the main dashboard of the ICP network, and it shows a bunch of different things, and you can also get different information from here. So I will just click on search, paste the ICP Ledger canister and press enter. And so as you can see, it brings the name, the NNS ICP Ledger canister. Its control as the subnet ID, which it is on the module hash, and these are the different functions that you can access on the ICP Ledger canister. So you can check the balance, current identifier, archives, decimals, and a lot more other functions. And so once we are able to deploy the same canister on local machine, we will be actually able to access these same functions but on our local machine. And so now if we go back to the guide, all we have to do is scroll down, and as you can see, this is where the guide begins. You have to first install the ICSDK, create a new file for a project, and here they are showing you how to get the DID file and the WASM files for the ICP Ledger, but we shall come back later on this. So here is how first of all we have to configure the dfx.json file by adding the ICP Ledger canister configuration. So I will just copy this, and then before that we need actually a project where we can use this information, and lucky enough I've already created a project using the dfx.json as they recommend, rather dfx new command as recommend in the previous step here. So I will just open my project in VS Code and we will continue from there. And so here is my project. It doesn't contain anything apart from the basics, and I'll just open up my terminal first and um, then actually run the fx deploy to see if the project is running. I run it again. Oh, okay, let me first start the replica. So I think so I will have to first deploy the project, and I can see my replica is already running. So because I have another project running, so I just open a new terminal and type in dfx deploy, and let me type it again. Okay, so dfx start background. Hopefully it should work. All right, so and yes, so it's working now. So open another terminal, dfx deploy now. So it should work. I don't know why it's failing to work. So then dfx deploy. So now let's wait for it to load. Once it has finished deploying, you can see you'll get two URLs, one for the front end, one for the back end. And so these are just URLs that you can use to access both the back end canister and also the front end canister. And so our project is now working, so it's time to configure the ICP Ledger canister to be included in our project. And as you can see in the guide, they say that we have to edit the dfx.json file by adding in this configuration of the ICP Ledger canister. So I'll just copy it and go back to my terminal, open the dfx.json and check where the front end canister ends from. I can put a comma and then paste the whole thing there. So what this means is that this will be the name of our canister, ICP Ledger canister, and then they are showing you where to get the did file and the wasm file for the ICP Ledger canister. And so, but we will have to do one change, is and this is to replace this replica version number. And so they recommend actually using the latest replica version every time you're trying to deploy the Ledger canister. This is because the new replica version always contain new updates, code updates that they may have pushed or shipped that include more features on the ICP Ledger Canister. And so we will go to this link that really is overview, and this will bring up a section on the dashboard that shows you the replica version releases. And if you click here, this is the latest release, and that's what we will have to copy and actually change or paste it here. So I'll just paste it and also come here and paste it there. So now that is done, so let me first clear this so that I can get some space. So the next step is to follow the guide still. As you can see, they want us to create a new identity, then use it. So I already have this identity created, so all I have to do is switch to the identity dfx identity use minter. Then I will just now copy and paste this command here. So I will switch back to the identity that I'm using, and now come to the next step and copy this and come and paste it inside my VS Code. So after I'm done with that, I'll just clear the terminal, come back to the guide. So here they are showing you how to deploy a canister, the ICP Ledger canister, and here they are saying we should deploy the same the canister actually with the same ID as the canister on the mainnet, but I will override that, since you can actually do it, or you can just remove that command and it will create a new project. Actually, it will create a new ID for the canister, and that's what I'm going to do. And so let's wait for it to reach where I want it to reach. And yeah, so I will just delete all this and just say dfx deploy ledger ICP Ledger canister, and then we are specifying the minting account ID, and then minting actually some tokens and giving them to this account. And so I'll just press enter and we should be good to go. So now that our ICP Ledger canister has been deployed, let's check the functionality that it has. So you can see it's actually most of these functions are similar to what we get on the mainnet canister. So it means that our code is working. And back to the project, you can see that actually currently when we have one principal ID that has ICP tokens, and that is the account ID of our identity, actually the identity that we're currently using, which is the test ID. It's the one that is holding the tokens that we minted. So let me first show you what I mean by that. So we shall check the balance of this identity, and you will see that it actually has it has the tokens. So I will paste this here and click on query. You will see that it has around, I think, 1 million ICP tokens, and this is the account that we'll be using to send some tokens to other accounts for now. And now that we've set our index canister up, or rather our ICP Ledger canister up, it's time to use it in our backend canister. But before we do that, we have to edit again the dfx.json file to make sure that we tell the project that actually we want to use the ICP Ledger canister in our backend canister. And the way you do that is come on the backend canister and then specify the dependencies and just put ICP Ledger canister, and this will remove any errors when we are importing the ICP Ledger in our backend code. And so it's now time to write the backend code, and I'll close this, click on source, ICP Ledger, then the backend. And so what are we going to do in the backend? So basically we're going to check we're going to use the ICP Ledger canister in our backend code to transfer funds and also check the balance of an account. And so, but before we begin, we need to first import the ICP Ledger canister, and the way we do that is go on top of the file and write the word import, give it a name, and specify that you want to import a canister, then give it the name of the canister, then you'll be good to go. So once we've imported the canister, we can directly use it to our advantage. So we just delete this. So the first function we'll write is to get the balance of principal ID from the backend. So we can actually put ICP balance. So we just come here and write public function, then maybe get balance from ledger, and we want the user to specify the principal ID of the person they want to check their balance, and we will return the balance of that user. So I'll just put a semicolon here, and to handle errors in a more complete way, I will just wrap this in a result feature. So this will allow me to handle errors in the correct way, and as you can see, it's showing me some errors. Just import the result, then I'll come here, wrap everything in a try and catch, so as in case of any error, I'll be able to get it out and know where it is coming from. So now that we are handling errors in a proper way, let's focus now on checking the balance of the user actually. So the way we check the balance of the user is to declare a variable. Let's say maybe results equals await, since it is asynchronous, because we are calling an external canister. So I will actually, I think, first edit this and copy our canister name. Actually, we want to use the ICP ledger to check the balance of the user, and so that's why I'm using it here. So we just put dot ICRC1 balance, which is the same function that that is used to check the balance, ICRC balance of. And as you can see, it takes in arguments in the form of a record, the owner, and also the sub account. So let's go back and paste this here, then specify the owner, which will be the principal ID that the user supplies. And if you saw, the owner here is of type principal, but in our case it is the user supplies it in a form of text, so we have to convert it. And so it will be, we will use this package sort of dot, then dot from text, dot from text, then giving the user, then the sub account will just be null for now since we don't have it, and it returns a natural number which we will also return to the user. So we shall just wrap it in this, and then we return the results. So as you can see, all the errors have disappeared. And so it's now a time we tried out our function to see whether it works or not. So we'll just do this, save, and deploy the canister. So I will deploy the canister, and actually I'm giving it a wrong name. So what's the name of our canister is here. So I'll come here, defects, deploy, then paste the name, and then I'll be good to go. So we have to wait for it to get deployed on the local machine. And as you can see, they're telling me to confirm some things that I want to change. And yeah, it's now deployed, so I will have to click on the link for the back end, and boom, we should have at least a function. And this is it actually. So to test it out, all we have to do is get a principal ID. I will use this, which is the one that holds all our ICP that we minted, and I will just paste it inside, and we should at least get the same results as when we check the ICP Ledger canister directly. And so you can see it still has all our funds, and also using the ICP Ledger canister directly, we still get the same funds, the balance. So it shows that our code is working, and that's what we want. So the next thing would be to, let me first clear my screen. The next thing would be to actually transfer, use the IRC, use the ICP Ledger canister to transfer funds. And the way we do that is actually also simple, but you have to keep one thing in mind, that the way we transfer funds is that we'll be getting the funds from the backend canister, And so that means the backend canister has to hold some ICP from our ledger. And right now it doesn't hold any ICP, but we will deposit the ICP after writing the function. So let's now write the function for that. And it's actually pretty simple. So on the next line, we can just put some comment, send ICP tokens to another account from the back end, and then we just write public func, then send ICP, then we allow the user to specify the recipient, which will be of type text, and also the amount, which will be of type nat. Of course, all this is asynchronous, meaning it will take some time, and we should also wrap everything in this result.results has to be able to handle errors in a good way. So what I'm basically writing here is that we were writing a function called send ICP. It takes into argument the recipient of the funds and also the amount of funds, and when the transfer is successful, we shall just return an empty parenthesis, and when the transaction has failed, we shall return an error stating maybe some of the reasons as to why the function has failed. And so I'll just now wrap everything in a try and catch for error purposes, and then return error dot message of error. This will allow us to actually get the real error that is happening, but that's not the one that we want to focus on more. We want to focus on being able to send ICP from this canister to from the backend canister to another address. And so the way we do that is actually declare a variable, maybe transfer results, and then it will be asynchronous. We'll still use the ICP ledger and call some function that will allow us to transfer the funds. And if you check, or if you take a look at some of the functions available, if you scroll down, you will see that this is the ideal function that can allow us actually to send ICP from our back-end canister to other canisters or principal IDs. And so I will copy that, come back and then paste it and put some parentheses, and yeah, that will be it. And now we have to write the arguments for this function. As you can see, it takes in an object sort of in Motoko it's called a record. So the one to receive the funds, their principal ID and sub account, the fee, the memo, the from sub account, the create, like the time of creation, and then the amount. And so we shall write all this in our code. And so here we go. Open the curly brackets, and then the first one is to specify the recipient, which will be still principal.from text of the recipient that the user will have suggested, and then sub account we shall just leave it null for now. Right, so the next one will be the amount, which will be the amount that the user will specify still, and then the fee, just put it null. The memo will be null, and from sub account should also be null for now since we don't have it, and the created at time, this should not be null under normal circumstances, but for the sake of this video I will just leave it null. And yeah, because really we need to know when at the time the transaction was created or was completed. And so this is it. The error you're seeing is that we are not returning anything as of now. And so this is how actually the functionality is written. And once this transaction, actually once this function is completed, it returns something of if we check actually the functionality, it will return to either of the two things, either an OK showing the transaction has been completed, or an error showing one of the very many reasons. Either maybe it's the canister is temporarily unavailable, it's a bad ban, or any of the errors are shown here. So we have to cater for each of the two scenarios, whether the transaction is successful or when the transaction has failed. And to do that, we shall use the switch statement from Motoko, which will help us cater for that. And all you have to do is write the word switch, select switch statement. I'm actually using the Motoko extension, and that's why I'm able to select it has this autocomplete feature. And if you have not installed it, it's a cool package. You can just install it, rather extension. So we shall supply this transfer results into the switch statement, and the first thing we want to check is whether it has returned an OK. So could return, if it has returned an OK, meaning our transaction has been completed, we just want to return that it has been completed by returning an empty parenthesis as we have declared in our code. And if there is an error, still with an error, we just want to return that there has been an error, then that same error that was returned. So okay, so right now we're facing this where saying these are the text and this variant are not compatible, so I'll just return a simple message saying error in sending or in transferring tokens just for the sake of this video. And you can see that the error has disappeared. And yeah, that's how basically you write a function to transfer funds from the ICP ledger. And you can see it doesn't have any errors, so it means we are good to go. So I will just redeploy it. Actually, I can run the previous command and I should be good to go. So this will redeploy, and once we load our backend canister, we should be able to see a new function that says send ICP. Going back to our browser, let's get where the ICP canister is. And as you can see now, we have another function that allows you to specify the principal ID of the recipient and also the amount that you want to send. And I want to test it out, but I will need to supply the recipient principal ID. And all I will have to do is I can just go to my terminal, switch to another identity, and get their principal ID. Use Motoko. That's one of my many any identities that I have. So I'll just get the principal ID by running that command, and you'll see that I have it here. So I'll copy it, come to the browser, paste it here, and specify the amount, let's say 5,000 or 50k, and I'll click call. But I expect to get an error because literally we don't have any tokens in the backend canister, or we don't have any tokens that the backend canister holds. But yeah, and so to send ICP to the backend canister, we will have to use the terminal, since that's where the identity that is holding our ICP is located. And the command that we will run, I've already copied it. Let me paste it here. Then we'll do a few modifications. So basically, this is the command that we will run, and we can just replace this with our ICP Ledger canister, and we also have to replace this text with the principal ID of the backend canister. And how to get it, click on DFX, check canister IDs .json file, and you will see that this is the principal ID or canister ID for the backend canister. And so I'll just copy it, come here, then replace it on this section. And as you can see, this is an amount we want to send actually 500 tokens, if I can say 500,000 tokens, if I can say that, to our backend canister. And yes, so this is the command that we shall run, and it's complete. So I will just copy it, and let me expand my terminal, paste it here, and click enter. So you will see that it is saying insufficient funds because we switched the identity from here. So now this identity that we're using doesn't have any funds. So but we can just switch back, identity, use test ID, and if we rerun the previous command, it should be now able to work out. And so now literally we have sent around 500k ICP tokens to our backend canister. And if you want to prove it, I just copy this canister ID, come back to the backend canister or the ICP ledger. So this ICP ledger, you can just check the balance, no, rather it's the backend. You can just check the balance, and you see that we have around 500,000 tokens. And so now our backend canister now has some ICP tokens, and it means the next time we want to send funds, it should be really easy, because we won't run into this error again. So we have 500,000, and let's maybe reduce the number here. Maybe we put 30,000 and click on send. You will see that it has returned an OK, meaning our transaction has been successful. And if you check the balance of the backend canister again, that balance should have decreased by first of all 3,000, and then the other amount for fees. So let's call it again, and you will see that this is now 460,000. So if you add on the 30,000, you will get around 490,000, and then the balance will be the charge for the transaction costs. Actually, the transaction costs, you see there, you have to pay a fee every time a transaction is passed through the ledger. And so that's how you can use the ICP Ledger in your backend Motoko project. And let me now clear the terminal and come back here and comment this out so as to get rid of the errors. And so now we have seen how to use the ICP Ledger in the Motoko backend. So you can try out all the functionalities inside your backend Canister. Like, let's say you want to you want to check the decimals, you want to use any of the functions provided by the ICP Ledger Canister. You can access them inside the backend Canister and you do that by importing the ICP Ledger Canister in your backend Canister, and you use it right away. And so that is it about using the ICP Ledger Canister in the backend. And now we can look at how to use the ICP Index Canister. And so the ICP Index Canister allows you to get transactions arranged by address or principal ID, meaning that it makes it easy. Actually, it makes it easy to get transactions specific to an identity. And this is what I mean. If we go back to the ICP Ledger Canister, let me see, you will see that actually it doesn't have a provision on where you can get the transactions. Let's say now, previously I sent ICP from one address to another, so but you can see that I don't have a provision on where to get those transactions in my Canister, or there's no provision in the ICP Ledger Canister. The only provision that is there is if you use this function down here, get blocks function. And as you know that blocks contain transactions, and this is the only way you can actually get transactions on the ICP using the ICP Ledger Canister. And this is kind of a hindrance in that for you to get let's say any transaction, you have to query all the blocks, and then maybe if you want a specific transaction of a specific principal ID, first of all you query all the blocks and then check to see if the transaction in any of the blocks is from that specific principal ID. And that is hectic and cumbersome in some way, and that's why the ICP Ledger Canister was created. It's like a provision that allows you to index transactions basing on the principal ID of the user. And yeah, to install it, all you have to do is actually it's pretty simple. Let me first close these ones since we are done using them, and we go back to the guide from the Internet Computer website. All now we have to do is now scroll down and click on ICP Index Local Setup. So if I click on that, you will see that the guide changes, and they tell me what I need to do to set up my index canister. and the process is almost similar. You have to first configure your dfx.json, which I will do right away. So I just come here and copy this and Control plus C, come back to my project, check the dfx.json, and I will have now to include the new canister. And now this is the index.canister ID, and of course I have to change this replica version. So I'll just copy the one up here since it is the latest, and yes, paste it here and also paste it here, and then I'm done. So you can see that they also provide the canister ID of the index canister on the mainnet. So if we are to try it out, so we just copy this ID, canister ID, go to a new web page, type in dashboard, let the dashboard load, click on search and paste the canister ID. I think I copied the wrong one, so I need to copy this and come here, click on search, paste and press enter. You see that they're bringing some information, the controllers, the subnet and the module hash, and now we see different functions. So this can allow you to get the balance of the account identifier, and we're interested in this. Get account identifier transactions, get blocks, ledger ID status. So these are some of the functions that the ICP Ledger, rather ICP Index Canister provides. And so you can see now there's this, the major function I wanted was this, get account identifier transactions. So basically in the ICP Ledger Canister, there was no way how you could get the transactions of specific addresses, but the ICP Index Canister allows that, in that you can just paste in the account identifier and you're good to go. And you will get all the transactions for that specific principal ID or account identifier. And so if you go back to our tech guide, I will see that after configuring the dfx.json, they want you now to run this command, of which I will just make a modification. So let me just close this, open my main, and then I'll come and paste it here and show you what it does basically. So they are like do defects deploy ICP Index Canister. We want a specific ID. I don't want it, so I'll just delete this, and then the argument is here. So you have to specify the ledger, the canister ID of the ledger canister, and in our case we will have since it's not this one, we will have to come on dfx, then canister IDs, and then look for the ICP ledger, copy it and replace it here. So paste it here and then we will be good to go. So I will copy the whole of it, open up my terminal, and yes, paste it and press enter. So now the project is creating and installing the ICP Index Canister, and we should be able now to use it to get transactions of different accounts. And so once the index canister is installed, they provide us with a link, and then if I click on the link, I will be taken into the browser where I can actually get to interact with my ICP index canister. And so as you can see on the screen, there is a bunch of functions that we can try out, and yes, so actually there are, I think, 4. You can get the balance of the account identifier, you can get transactions of account identifiers, then also get transactions of principal IDs, get blocks, HTTP request, and then the balance of principal IDs, the ledger ID, and so there is a couple of functions which is cool. But so now let's first test it out. Remember in our previous session with interacting with ICP Ledger Canister, we did a transaction where we sent funds from the identity in our terminal to the backend canister. And so if we are to get if we want to get the transaction history of that specific transaction, we can just come here, get the principal ID of that identity, copy it here, go back to the browser, then I should be able to use this function to get actually those transaction histories. So I would just here they're saying you have to specify the maximum results. Maybe I want 5, which I know is quite a lot, and then they allow you to specify the principal ID. You can also start on, if you want to start on a specific block, or if you want to include the sub account, but we don't need any of this. So I'll just click on query, and you will see that we get some results back. And the way it is, it's a bit complicated, but they will show you where we're starting from. They will show you this actually, the balance of the current balance actually of the principal ID. Then they will give you an array of all the transactions that have happened, and so you can see that the previous transaction was actually of 50,000 ICP tokens, which we sent to our back end. Yes, and the second last was actually the minting one, where we were minting for ourselves. And so if we can also check the transaction history of the backend canister, we should be able to get only, I think, like 1 or 2 transactions. And where is the backend? So here it is. We just copy this, go back to the browser, then paste it here, then click enter. So now here it is. They're showing you the current balance is 460k. It has 2 transactions. The first one, where the latest one was where we were sending actually 30,000, and the second last, or the first in this case, was the one where we were sending, let me see, amount where we were receiving actually 50,000 from the identity in our dfx command line. And so as you can see now, we were able to retrieve transactions specific to an identity, and that's a cool feature if you want to add it to your backend. And so, but we shall just interface with the index canister in a more simple way. And let me go back now to my backend project. First of all, I'll have to clear the terminal and close this up, comment this out. So now to import it, all you have to do is first of all go to the dfx.json, specify that your backend code wants to import the ICP index canister, and will be good to go. So close this up. In your backend code, you can just the same way you imported the ledger canister is the same way you have to import the ICP index canister. So once I'm done, I put a semicolon and I should be good to go. So we can just actually write one function. We can actually now actually check the balance of users, but now using the ICP index canister, because it has that functionality. If you look at some of the functions that it has, you can see it has actually that functionality of allowing you to test, to check the user's balance. And so back to our code, I will just say check the balance from the index canister. So I will just try start right away. Public func get balance from index, and then user, which is the text, and then still the same thing, result dot result, which is a nut, and then text. And yes, so wrap everything in a try and catch in order to handle errors, and return error dot message of error. So here we specifically, actually I think I can copy and paste the functionality, which is this, to save time, and I'll just come here, paste it, and I'll be good to go. So the code doesn't have any errors, so let's redeploy our backend canister. And yeah, so I keep on forgetting the name, and yes, paste it here and deploy the canister. Yes, so now the backend canister is deployed again. So click on the link and you should be able to open it up in the browser. But as you can see, now we have more functions. We are interested in this get balance from index because we want to check the balance from using actually the index canister instead of the ledger canister. So I will just go back here, see if I can get anywhere to copy a principal ID, but I think I can access it from the terminal. fx identity, get principal. So I should be able to get the balance of this ID, but now using the index canister. So if I click on this, It takes some time, but you see that it has finally given me some results, which shows that it is working. And so that is it. Now you can, use the index canister in your backend code. You can do way more things. You can fetch transactions. You can convert actually principal IDs to account identifiers using the index canister, and it's up to you to use it the way you want. After you've imported it, after you've configured your dfx.json, and we shall be using it this method of importing canisters in the near future when we're working on projects that involve ICP payments. And yes, so that is it for this video, and I'll see you in the next video.